My 29 female husband 30 male wants to get back together, but he has a girlfriend 25 female. We were together since we were 18, but we separated 3 years ago. The separation was my fault because I pushed him away when he was trying to be there for me after a miscarriage. We didn't have any direct contact in the first 6 months because I felt extremely guilty being around him because I had an accident that could have been avoided, which I blamed for the miscarriage, and it was easier for me not to face him. Despite that, he has been more generous to me than he needed to be. The dilemma I have is that my ex-husband wants to try again and is adamant he doesn't want a divorce. However, he has had a girlfriend. He claims she's just a FWB and their relationship has always been primarily about sex. But she reached out to me several times and has told me he is the love of her life. I know from speaking to myself that he has broken up with her several times and that she has been trying to force her way into their family. When I spoke to the girl, she seemed to really love him. She made it seem like the only reason they hadn't moved in together or taken the next step was because my husband felt guilty because he is still legally married. She said I was like a black cloud hanging over their otherwise perfect relationship. She also has a daughter who she said is attached to my husband and sees him as her father figure. Also, she said I was making her a struggling single mother again by stealing my husband, and that his family were manipulating him into taking me back because they didn't like her. I still love him, but I don't want to be the other woman. It's strange because we are legally married still, but I still feel like a homewrecker. Even though they are currently broken up, my family and friends all think I should mend things with him, but I just don't want to hurt someone the way I hurt him again. I could really use some advice on what to do. Too long didn't read. My husband and I separated because I pushed him away after having a miscarriage. It's been 3 years and he wants to try again, but he has had a new girlfriend who claims he's the love of her life. How could their relationship be otherwise perfect when he has described her as an FWB and it is just about the sex? She said I was making her a struggling single mother again by stealing my husband. Does she rely on him financially? Does he give her money? Basically, someone is lying, and you need to have it out with your husband and find out where this lady gets the stones to tell you that you are the black cloud in their otherwise perfect relationship. You need to ask him why she feels like their relationship was perfect and they were ready for the next stage in their relationship if it weren't for his pesky wife getting in the way. Because the person who really needs to get her to leave you alone is your husband. I was a little confused by the post because while OP's husband says she's only a FWB, I'm getting a whole different read. The way I read it is that OP pushed husband away after a miscarriage. So he found a girlfriend and built a new life. He played dad to his girlfriend's kid and probably fed her some lines about how his soon-to-be ex was making the divorce take a long time. And if OP would just stop being so clingy and would let him go, then she could be with him for good. I find it highly unlikely that he painted himself in any kind of neutral or negative light who would sleep with him if he was honest about his situation. A comment to OP about his family manipulating him into taking her back feeds into this, in my opinion. Like they're trying to get divorced, but OP wants to stay, and his family wants her to stay. So they are trying to force husband to not go through with the divorce. I could totally be wrong, but I'm thinking that OP's husband is super sus here, and I would not be believing anything he told me about his FWBG. IRL friend. I'm inclined to disagree, at least with the information provided, but usually the truth lies somewhere in between. Sure, many people tend to tell you what you want to hear and or make themselves out to be the good guy, but the fact that he's broken up with the girlfriend multiple times leads me to believe things aren't as perfect as the girlfriend is claiming they are. I do believe he might have made it seem like things weren't just a FWB situation to her, but she seems to be the one pushing and hoping things aren't just that, not him. Either way, OP needs to dig deeper if she wants to again pursue things with him. One or both parties aren't being completely honest. The GF is the other woman, and it sounds like she is trying to manipulate everyone and force her way into being a permanent part of his life, whether that's what he wants or not. Regardless, their relationship is this to address. I strongly urge you and your estranged husband to get marriage counseling. Not really to reconcile, but to get to the root of your feelings, both of you, and resolve them one way or the other, so that you both get closure. You also need to tell him that his GF has been contacting you and saying those things because, whether you get back with him or not, he needs to know how much she is overstepping. In addition, she needs to sit down and talk to her husband about what this woman has stated to her. If what she is saying is not accurate, then it is up to him to deal with, so that the issue is resolved, regardless of whether OP ends up getting back together with him. If they are going to even consider getting back together, he needs to deal with this, because with the work as a couple they will obviously need to do, they can't have a third person in the mix. Do you want your husband back? Who cares about any trivial information regarding the current girlfriend or her feelings? She does not matter in this instance of whether or not you take him back. If you want to be with your husband, then be with him. If he is cutting the girlfriend out to be with you, if that's what he wants to do, any relationship they have likely won't work out anyways, because he's still fawning over you. My ex-husband wants to try again and is adamant he doesn't want a divorce. He claims she's just a FWB and their relationship has always been primarily about sex. She has been trying to force her way into their family. Sweetie, you are not the homewrecker in this situation. That other girl is the manipulative homewrecker. You need to stay far away from her as she is throwing a lot of red flags. Here's a quick question for you. If your husband came to you and said he wanted to finalize the separation and officially file for divorce, what would you have done? Especially if he had said he had found someone who he loved and really wanted to be with. The way you write your post, I can almost guarantee that you would let him go, even if it wasn't something that you personally wanted. But this psycho contacts you and tries to manipulate you because she obviously has failed to manipulate him into doing what she wants. So she's lying to make you feel guilty and insecure in hopes that you will push him away, because in her crazy head she believes that if everyone else would just get out of the way, they'd be together in a happily ever after. Just remember this, your husband is a person too, and is fully capable of choosing who he wants to be with. He does not need anyone new. So, psycho side chick making decisions for him. If he said you are the one he wants to be with and the side chick was just FWB, believe him. Unless of course he actually does something to show otherwise, such as getting with her, even after you two are back together. Stop talking to this woman. She and her problems are not your concern or your responsibility. You don't know her. She doesn't know you. It should stay that way. Block her. Stop talking to her. Your in-laws should do the same. Assuming you actually want to try again with your husband, tell him that he needs to end things permanently with this woman and show you evidence he's done so before starting to try again with you. He doesn't get to keep her on the back burner in case you all don't work out. And then couples counseling. So much couples counseling. Forget about the girlfriend for a second. Do you want to go back to him? If you do, take it slow. Time will have changed you both. If you think you might want to but aren't sure, maybe try dating him for a bit and see how it feels. If it feels like something you want, pursue it. If it isn't something you want, give yourself a fresh new start. Divorce and start therapy. Bumpy roads can still lead to beautiful places. Child death often ends in separation or divorce. It is not uncommon. It is very difficult to navigate your own emotional pain, the emotional pain of your partner, and both people's needs. While deep in grief, it leads to hurt feelings, lashing out, pushing away, and taking it out on the other person, which can cause harm to the bond long term. It's also a reminder of the pain you endured with this person. It's hard to heal when surrounded by the grief of the other parent and constant reminders of the family you two no longer have together. That being said, it's been 3 years. You both have had a long time to process your feelings and your separation. Your husband never wanted to leave you. This brand new girlfriend should not be making her child call him dad. You and your husband are a family by law, not his girlfriend and her child who is not his. He obviously does not want to be with her and is free to make his own decisions. I wouldn't feel guilty. He's allowed to decide he doesn't want to be with her. She doesn't get to manipulate her way into a commitment using her child that he does not want. His choice only. You're not the other woman. You're his wife and she's his FWB who became too attached. They are not even together anymore. You have no obligation to this woman, especially not to the detriment of your own happiness. If you didn't pursue a reconciliation, doesn't sound like he'd be with this wackadoodle anyway. It's been 3 years he's been waiting for you. He happened upon a clinger who seems confused about the true nature of their relationship. He may have let her get close but doesn't sound like he led her on. Regardless, he's not even involved with her at all right now. I agree with starting therapy together before jumping back together, and I'm certain he'd do that for you. But don't let this opportunity slide because some stranger wants to manipulate you in order to trap him. Hope your husband was using rubbers and made sure she didn't puncture them. He loves you. You love him. You had a tragic loss that caused a rip, but you both want to mend it. Go for it. At the very least you'll both get closure. But my hope and guess is you'll reconcile, come out even stronger together. So the GF that your husband has been clear isn't more than a FWB, is a super clingy person trying to force her way into his family. Force him into a father role for her daughter. Possibly use him financially, or be her pinto and sabotage his attempt to get back together with his wife. She seems to be the problem here, not you. He wants you. He doesn't see her as serious, yet she's going behind his back telling you to go away when he doesn't seem that into her. No matter what you do, your feelings and his feelings are what matters. The two of you both want to get back together. Block the clingy one and get a marriage counselor to start rebuilding your marriage. He's broken up with her, and she's trying to force him back together with her. She has issues. Does he know she's contacting you? Your husband is an adult. He can make decisions for himself. Find out what you want minus all the noise. And if it's to get back together, go for it. He should officially break up with her though, I think, before the two of you attempt anything. And don't forget to talk about all the feelings from the miscarriage, and why you ended up where you are. If you did, go for it. Your husband GF is the manipulative one. How can you not see that? She also has a daughter who she said is attached to my husband and sees him as her father figure. Also, she said I was making her a struggling single mother again by stealing my husband. She's trying to make you feel guilty. She's pretty much stealing your husband and you're letting her. By the way, it sounds like your husband still wants to try, but you need to let him in for that to happen. If you want, that is. The other woman is the GF, not you, so don't feel like that. All I can say is sit down with your husband and talk. I still love him, but I don't want to be the other woman. If you love him, then get back together. Go to marriage counseling and take things slow. The fact he's broken up with her several times says on it that he's just waiting for you to let him back in. Honestly, it still seems like your husband loves you. You are not the homewrecker. Considering you're legally married, technically she's the homewrecker. Ignore what she's telling you and follow your heart and speak to your husband, please. I just don't want to hurt someone the way I hurt him again. Try seeing a therapist just for you. Understandable why you're scared, but work together. He obviously wants to be there for you. Don't push him away. You said him and his GF are broken up, so it's time you claim your spot as his wife again and slowly build up your relationship again. I assure you his GF does not care when you would feel hurt, so forget about her feelings and focus on yourself and your husband. You're the wife, the one wearing the wedding ring. Your husband loves you and you love him. You have your answer to get back together and work through it. If you don't, I know in future you will deeply regret this. The ex-girlfriend was just a placeholder because he obviously has always wanted to be with you. It sucks for her. It really does. But you shouldn't put aside your happiness because it will be her sadness. You aren't the homewrecker here. She unfortunately became involved with someone who was never going to be invested in her emotionally. Her reaching out to you to convince you that their relationship is solid is her way of trying to get you out of the way because she desperately wants to be picked. However, how your husband feels about it is important here. Do you trust him that their relationship wasn't serious? Do you trust your sister-in-law? The real question is why are you letting her feelings override your own? It sounds to me like she is the other woman and can't accept it. Either she's very delusional or your husband is very manipulative. I strongly advise towards marriage counseling, couples therapy, because you seem to have some more deep emotional issues than we could possibly be of help to, and if you want to be with him, or if you just want to figure that out, you gotta give it a try. However, I would try to get to the bottom of their relationship. If they're just FWB, it seems odd to me that he'd have to keep breaking it off, since there's no commitment there. A theory I developed is that your husband might be her one who got away, and she still falls for him anytime he calls. And I'm guessing he calls because he knows he can get the distraction he wanted from you with her. It seems like he went back to her after you broke up as a way to distract himself from missing you. This woman sounds manipulative, involving her daughter into a non-serious relationship, and pretty crazy. You should not include her into your decisions in any way other than if you did get back together with your husband. Odds are she won't be giving up too easily, at the very least. Even if you don't want to get back together, you should tell your husband everything this woman has said in hopes he'll cut ties, because she seems pretty mentally unstable. Sounds like she's been enjoying using your husband as financial support than anything else. Good luck. Crazes are hard to get rid of. She sounds a little cray-cray, but also, it kinda seems like your husband might not be quite the man you think he is. He clearly knows at this point that she is in love with him, and yet tells you it's going nowhere. That is truly cruel, especially since the woman's kid loves him. Like, that's just across the board unfair and unkind. Also, it seems very odd to me that a divorce would have been because of your miscarriage. It would be expected that you would be grieving and not totally there for him during that emotional and physical process. It seems odd that that's the only reason you two split up in the first place. I think there's maybe more to TH's story here than you're telling yourself. Honestly, I think you should have a sit down with them together, somewhere public, just to be cautious. They're both saying two different things about their relationship, so you need to hear it from them personally, while also having the chance to see how the other person reacts. If they're having communication issues regarding their own relationship status, then they need to work through that before your husband even considers getting back together with you. Do not even consider getting back together with him until he has completely blocked her out of his life. No contact whatsoever. She sounds a bit crazy, and you don't want her to be the black shadow looming over your relationship. Consider going to therapy and marriage counselor, mainly to address your feelings of guilt over the miscarriage. If the relationship flows, you might consider getting back together, but don't make any decision about it just now. Maybe you won't get back together, and that's fine. First of all, I would let your legally married husband know what his GF has been telling you. Perhaps he needs to stop seeing her fully even for 6, if this is how attached she is to him. Unless she's truly delusional and is just plain manipulative here. It sounds that they're not fully broken up here. I'm a little worried if you're not safe with her too, because she seems very attached to your legal husband here. Second of all, if you're interested in reconnecting, I would suggest couples counseling for the two of you. You're not the other woman here. You are legally his wife. Unfortunately for that lady, she is the other woman, but she's trying to make it seem that you are, which is not correct. Although I'm curious if your husband set a proper boundary with her to begin with, since I can't see an FWB relationship equals the two of them playing happy family together with her daughter. Whether or not you want to try again is up to you. Please, if you're connecting sexually with your husband, I also suggest that you both get tested first. First, you're not the homewrecker or the other woman. She is. You feel like this because you guys have been separated for 3 years, which caused a lot of distance between you two. Talk to your husband, and most importantly, ask yourself what you want. Are you willing to fight for your relationship or not? Do you see your future with him? Do you miss him? Will you be happy with him? Also, you shouldn't be the one to think about the other woman's life. Yes, she may love your husband, but he is still your husband. Good luck, OP. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.